My job is to regulate, coordinate and direct the affairs of Road Transport Authority.
One of my key goals in the operations department is to make sure that the traffic wardens and the traffic police work together as one.
Road safety is now a global concern. You know about the UN Decade of Action on Road Safety.
Accidents driving like this caused the death of hundreds of people around the country last year, and figures indicate that the situation is not getting better. At the very top of its list of responsibilities is road safety. The training coordinator and consultant is Mr. Kulu Kamara, a man with extensive knowledge on the operations of the road transport industry in Sierra Leone.
I started as a vehicle examiner trainee on the 1st of April 1970 at the then Road Transport Department. I have gone through quite a bit of experience in the industry. I have seen this industry grow from almost nothing to something. The Road Transport Authority is taking steps to see that everything we do is according to international standards.
Before the SLRTA was established, services were fragmented. Road testing, vehicle examinations, issuing of driving and vehicle licenses were all handled by the police and the then Road Transport Department. Now that it is all under one roof, the main emphasis, according to Mr. Kulu Kamara, has been overwhelmingly on road safety. But what exactly is the SLRTA doing that will make a real difference?
One of the issues, which is the road safety issue, sort of dominates some issues that the Road Transport Authority is handling. And with the present leadership of Dr. Mrs. Sarah Bendu, a lot of emphasis has been put on the road safety aspect.
The person who has been charged with spearheading the nation's hope for improved road safety is the Executive Director of the SLRTA, Dr. Sarah Bendu. She is also the first woman to head what is still a largely male-dominated organization. Dr. Bendu describes her job as a huge challenge, but maintains she has the confidence to drive things forward.
My job is to regulate, coordinate and direct the affairs of Road Transport Authority. Road Transport Authority, as you know, is the institution that is given the mandate to license and register vehicles and drivers, and also to promote road safety. So my job centers around that area to ensure that drivers are licensed, vehicles are licensed before they use the road, and to again enforce the law.
But what was the state of the SLRTA when she took over the leadership of such a dynamic setup?
Before I took over, all the key departments were headed by male. So it's like, it's really a male-dominated institution. It is now women are coming up, and it's just very fortunate that a female is now heading the institution, is the #1 figure, and interestingly, the #2 again is a woman. So I think it's kudos to all of us as women.
But road safety is not exclusively in the hands of authorities. Drivers, road users and other stakeholders have to be part of the solution.
And you have the bike riders, of course, the motor drivers union, the indigenous transport owners, because they needed to take good care of their vehicles to make sure that they are fit to be on the road. The indigenous transporters, the bike riders, now we're having them in large number. I'm sure that their membership surpass even the taxi drivers now. So they are all part of it. And whatever we do, make sure that these people are well sensitized. We incorporate them in all of our programs.
Some of the commercial bike riders are described as being lawless. They do not adhere to the highway code, and they are seen persistently plying one-way streets with no regard for authorities and road users. Despite enforcement of the law and arresting of bike riders, according to Dr. Bendu, this is not yielding dividend. So the SLRTA has adopted a new approach.
So just recently just concluded a training for bike riders and drivers in the western area region, and now we are taking it up to the provincial region.
As far as bike riders and some of their passengers are concerned, they continue to show disregard for road safety in their quest to get to their destination.
Now it's as if they are only concerned about themselves. What about the pillion passenger? Sooner we'll go again on the road that everybody that rides an Okada must ensure that he or she has the safety helmet, and it's your duty to make sure that the bike rider gives you a helmet. And now this time it's not the rider who will be responsible, but the pillion passenger.
The arrival of the mining companies in Sierra Leone has been viewed by members of the public and in other quarters was that job opportunities will be created for our local drivers. But this is not the case. These mining companies have engaged the services of drivers from neighboring countries. So just how does the SLRTA plan to tackle this problem?
It's more or less to ensure that every driver go through it. The test as we are planning to do now. Then secondly, the road. And we want to change the way we give out the license. When you look at the license, you have category A to D. Driver which have applied for category B license. Category B here means light cars like taxis, jeeps and the like. But at the end of the day, they end up driving trucks. So you have special training for articulated vehicles. So the license must ensure that this license is awarded to this driver to drive articulated vehicles. But that's not to say drivers that are able to drive these big vehicles like trucks, vans, or whatever can also drive light vehicles. So these are the professional drivers. We don't have many drivers that can drive the vehicles we are using. So they will end up taking drivers from other countries, and we have more drivers in the country, but maybe they are not is drivers from taxi level, and now they want to drive articulated ones, and you find out that their skills are limited.
There was an increase in fatal accidents last year nationwide. So what mechanism has the SLRTA put in place to reduce the death rate from road accidents?
Yes, there was a slight increase when you compare it to 2012. You find out that when we look at the statistics, at some point when we enforce, both SLRTA and the police, it was lower. Then after again, towards the end of the year, October to December, it just increased like that. But I think we are trying to address that jointly with the police. You'll find out that we have a lot to do, especially along the highways.
Dr. Bendu sounded this caution note to other passengers using the highway.
The driver shouldn't carry goods and passengers at the same time, which is very, very bad, because in an event of an accident, definitely, most times it is goods that kill the passengers.
Representing the police force on the SLRTA is Assistant Inspector General of Police Al-Sheikh Kamara, who is also Director of Operations in charge of road traffic management. However, with the establishment of an active warden corps to help with enforcement, how can they avoid not only wasteful overlap, but also the extra burdens on road users?
One of my key goals in the operations department is to make sure that the traffic wardens and the traffic police work together as one.
The belief persists that lawlessness on the roads is one of the greatest challenges facing the police, while the force itself has attracted serious criticism for not performing their duties more robustly. Al-Sheikh blames that on low pay, which it says makes its men more vulnerable to corrupt influences.
There is a tendency for them to influence our men by offering them bribes, and that is where we get a bad name. In fact, not all traffic officers are involved in bribe taking. If only we have enough traffic wardens out there in the streets, if we have enough traffic lights out there on the streets, cameras to capture all of the activities that are going out there, really we would love to withdraw our men completely from the street.
There is still a long way to go, and image aside, what will make a demonstrable difference to the work of the police?
The best way to go for this country to reduce the lawlessness is really an automated platform. We need an IT platform to manage traffic.
Figures recorded for the number of road accidents in 2012 was over 600, and last year these figures increased. So how committed is the government towards the realization of safety on the roads?
One of the first things we did in the area of safety was to launch a toll-free line, an accident-free line for abandoned vehicles on the road and accident vehicles as well. Because as you know, abandoned vehicles and accident vehicles cause a good percentage of the accidents on the road. And that must be addressed. They must be regulated. They must be trained before they are given their license.
The SLRTA Director of Safety and Enforcement is Buba Amara. His approach to safety does not only start with enforcement.
We make sure that we do not always start by doing enforcement. There are a lot of things that we do. For instance, we try to make sure that we sensitize the people on a number of issues. I mean, we look at the particular problem that is at hand, and we then try to sensitize the people. What we did was to go on a massive campaign.
While he does appreciate the benefits of sensitization, Mr. Amara knows when to adopt a more robust approach with all the legal instruments at his disposal. In other words, times when the law simply has to take its course.
We have guiding principles. They are in our acts, 2003, the Act of 2007. We have the regulations of 2011. So all of these things are used, once we get to that point, to make sure that they adhere to the rules and regulations.
In 2005, ex-President Ahmed Tijan Kaba officially declared bike riding as a commercial activity, giving rise to the establishment of the association. The current national chairman is David Sise. He appreciates the acute need to change perception about his members, but insists that the SLRTA and the traffic warden must also improve their attitude towards bike riders.
We are working together. Any kind of program they have, they invited us. We contribute, we negotiate. And they established a road safety committee. We are stakeholders in that committee.
Putting the bike industry in the context of Sierra Leone's development, Mr. Sise points out that it has been an economic lifeline for school leavers and those he referred to as products of the senseless war.
Some of the people, not all, but some, perceive bike rider as one of the dangerous weapons in the country.
This is the Vehicle Examination Center, which the SLRTA considers to be its most potent weapon in the fight against road accidents. The new state-of-the-art Vehicle Testing Center is located at the Kisi Road headquarters, and Daniel Kaitibi is in charge of its operation.
Headlamp testing equipment. All right. Yeah, we test for the headlamp. So if the headlamp is defective, it can be detected by this machine, and that will force the vehicle to fail the headlamp test. So once the vehicle has passed the headlamp test, the brake test, and the emission test, we are obliged to give that particular vehicle a certificate of fitness, which shows that it has passed.
The SLRTA has a safety committee which brings together all the stakeholders under one roof. The Motor Driver Union permanent representative to that committee is Komba Kuruma. He believes that 85% of accidents are caused by massive lawlessness. Mr. Kuruma called for greater collaboration for the kind which has already come up with a certified refreshers course for drivers held at the police training school.
I believe some of these moves really we are improving the standard of the driver. So we are appealing to both governments and the Sierra Leone Transport Authority to continue with these freshers courses, especially with the coming of Dr. Sirabend with the team capacity buildings for transport operators. I believe if such training do exist, then the average Sierra Leone driver standard will somehow be improved.
The SLRTA has embarked upon a series of road safety campaigns at schools, universities, churches, to name a few. This is the office of the Public Relations Unit at the SLRTA, and the man in charge is Abdul Karim Dumbuya.
Road safety is now a global concern. You know about the UN Decade of Action on Road Safety that came up with 5 pillars as a result of the concern that the United Nations has for the people of the world. People are dying carelessly as a result of road traffic accidents. Because of this, we have broadened the campaign. We are linking with religious bodies to help us disseminate the message.
Executive Director Dr. Sarah Bendu then outlined some of the success stories of the SLRTA.
Well. Talking about success, we've done a lot. Let's take it first on the road. One, we've tried to enforce the use of seatbelts, which I think is a plus. At least 90% are using the seatbelt. Then the use of crash helmets by bike riders, they are using it. Now we are trying to enforce the drink driving, to make sure that you have low alcohol or zero alcohol content of the driver when driving. Then we've introduced I've introduced the banking system. When you come, you pay directly to the bank, and it's like you don't need to pass all over the place, go around all over the place for your job to be done. I've tried to establish more stations in the provincial areas so that not every job or everybody will come to Freetown, the headquarter office, to transact business. We've introduced just recently office at Cambia. Then we've introduced the toll-free line 2244, which addresses distress call. For instance, if your vehicle have a breakdown, you think it's dangerous for other road users, you can call that number, and immediately the tow team will respond to it to make sure that they clear that vehicle off the road so that it will not cause accidents.
So, what is the future of road safety in Sierra Leone? Will it be this? Only time and the SLRTA will tell.